A lot of information there. So I would imagine there will be a lot of questions to boot. So again, we're going to try and keep this adult and civil. And so we're going to try these kind of things in the past. We've passed questions on cards, but I think we can do it in this format. So does anybody have a question? Yes, sir. Right.
I have
here.
a question, and it is perhaps for one of the commissioners that's here. What's the timeline on the council, the village making a decision on this? Is there a timeline?
Nothing established.
Okay.
So they're not.
It's not on an agenda in the near future?
It is not.
Could you answer that out loud, Chris? I don't, not that you're the spokesperson, but I don't think everyone heard that. You said it's not, as far as you know, on the agenda.
Well, there's
Is
only
that
an
correct?
agenda listed right now for this coming Monday. I can guarantee you it's not on that, because that's already out. And it hasn't been discussed about being on a future agenda that I've been a part of.
Well, we're still waiting for the mayor's second meeting on this, right?
Yeah, I could make that point real quick. The mayor had, to his credit, had scheduled 2 meetings to get resident and stakeholder input. He had the first one on October 25th, and with the intent of having another one. I think even a date was assigned, wasn't it?
Yeah, November.
And for one reason or another, he decided to postpone it indefinitely. That's why we saw this as a window to keep the dialogue going.
Secret spirit.
So, that was, basically it. Again, our sources say the same thing. Nothing's on the horizon, anytime soon, but here's an opportunity to, to get your game up on, what's coming and form an opinion on how you feel about it. I'm sorry. Next question. Yes?
Hi. I did a lot of research on, it's actually video poker game, and a lot of what you said was correct. Or I understand that what you said is correct. I have 2 concerns, and I don't know how we want to address these, but about 3 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago, I was coming west on Madison Street, and it was blocked off by the police. And the reason, I couldn't figure out why it was blocked off, and I kept going down the side streets and kept seeing police and police and police, and I thought something terrible had happened. And finally I got to the end, because I live off Van Buren, and I said to the policeman, what's going on? And he said, lady, don't you know that the Blackhawks just won? So the police were out there monitoring the bars. The bars, the bars, the bars. St. Patrick's Day Parade is wonderful. At night, the bars, the bars, the bars. We have unruly behavior, okay? I can't imagine what will happen when somebody puts in money in a machine, they're at a bar, they do not win, and they're upset. And what kind of security are we going to provide, and who's going to pay the police to monitor what's going to happen at these various bars? That's one concern I have. The other one clearly is the conflict of interest on the commissioners. I mean, as you said, we do have a commissioner who applied, and he was not truthful about his interest in this particular bar. And so I have a real problem with Forest Park being very ethical about how to run any business like this. So those are kind of my concerns, and I thought maybe you'd want to address them.
From a Winfield perspective, did the police have any input on this whole process? Anybody in law enforcement in Winfield there, say their concerns or lack of?
No, I don't recall that they were really asked. It was a fairly low-key campaign. I was surprised that neither side really did any campaigning. a few letters to the editor, which we published every one and such. But something you said just, you say you've got a commissioner that has an interest in a bar?
Yeah.
Of course, it's a big interest, and he lied when he was applying to the gaming commission.
My recollection of 65 IL says, the municipal code is that nobody who has an interest in a liquor license is eligible to be an elected official in the village.
No, there's an
Is that-
exception.
is there an
Yeah.
exception?
In
Okay.
2004, they,
Of course.
That's the problem going from memory.
no, it's all right, 2004, they amended that language. If it's a
Minority.
facility that gets 50% of its income from food, then
Okay.
an elected official is exempted from that. In this particular case, it is, there are 2 restaurants under one roof.
Oh, okay.
So,
Can I make a quick comment on the lady's
yes, sir.
terms of maybe security? These illegal machines that have been around for 20 years, they've been in and out of bars throughout this region, and they've been there, and there's been no visible rise of violence in any of those that I've seen or talked about. You would see in the paper. I'm not to say it doesn't happen, but as far as what I've seen in my own experience with my own machines, we've yet to receive any type of call or anything from any of our customers saying that there's a problem here. And I asked, how's it going? And a lot of the response is great. Everyone loves it. It's about personal responsibility, and bar owners have to be diligent on who's there, and if there's a person who's physically upset at losing, then maybe he should not be served, and he should be escorted out and asked not to come back. But these great machines that have been out there for years, they've been in bars throughout the state, up and down the state. They're functioning. They were functioning until a couple of years ago. So.
Okay, questions? I saw the gentleman back first. Please.
So do the patrons have to buy drinks before they're allowed to play the machines? Or, can somebody just walk in and play the machines without?
As far as I know, yes. That would be up to each establishment's rules and policies of how they want to administer it.
So they don't, so each bar determines if you have to buy a drink in order to play?
There's nothing in statute that says you have to buy a drink to play.
Thank you.
Make a comment on that. We had an interesting situation along those lines in Winfield as soon as they voted to allow video gambling. A North Carolina firm came in and said, we propose to open, well, first, the law requires that you have a liquor license in order to be able to have video gambling. And you have to have a separate area and so on and so forth. But you have to have a liquor license. This firm came in from North Carolina, I believe it was, and said, we propose to open some coffee shops. But they'll have a liquor license, but we don't really plan to sell. We'll have it if somebody really insists. But we plan to basically be a coffee shop and just a full-time video gambling parlor, which was kind of unique. And I think they wanted to open up 8 of these places in a town of 9,000 people. So they were planning to make quite a bit, but it kind of goes to the question whether you have to buy alcohol or not. It is up to the vendor, and they figured they would just sell coffee, or maybe Irish coffee, and
Well, I'll tell you what's going on in that market.
Yeah.
But first, Mike, did you have a response to what I said back there?
No, I just had a comment about what everybody said, and I appreciate what you all said. I have been involved in the bar business before I got retired. But I'm a Vietnam veteran. I served in Vietnam. I fought for this country. I'm talking about freedom. I want the freedom to be able to go and play a gambling machine if I want. I'm also a recovering alcoholic. When it got to be a problem for me, I went and got help. And I appreciate, I can't remember your name, but getting 800 numbers to find help. But I just want the freedom to do what I want. Prohibition, that didn't seem to work in the 20s. And that's all I have to say.
So that, thank you, Mike. the format you're talking about, and they're called deli moms, and it started on Morgan. And there are people coming into communities and setting up a deli that A, has a liquor license, B, will have a refrigerator with a 6-pack of beer in there, and behind a wall that people will come and play. It's out there. But the only thing I can say to that is that every community is controlled by a liquor commissioner, and I believe that's every mayor out there. They can stop that. I mean, it's not hard to see what they're trying to do. And the mayor only has to say, no, I don't want that type of business in my community. He can deny a liquor license. But I don't think that's what the intent here for this law was for, allowing that to happen, and I agree. The intent was for the establishments that are here and are supporting your community and are out there, and, giving you a place to go and enjoy a cocktail and relax. That's what I think these machines were meant for. It wasn't meant for this deli model out there. Not that I have any control over it. I hear about it all the time. I actually went out to Oregon and visited, so I can see what was happening. And do I agree with it? No, but there are business models out there, and there are people that are going to try to do that. So my only defense is I think the mayor has control over that in some respect.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to respond to that too. In South Carolina, there were existing businesses, bakeries were applying for liquor licenses. Ice cream parlors were applying for liquor licenses just so they could get the machine. So this wasn't the new guy coming in from Oregon or someplace. This was an established business in the community. And to respond to your comment about freedom, it's not as if there isn't gambling available. It's just like, you're free to smoke, but can you smoke here? It's where do you want it? And my position is that casinos are where it's highly regulated, because that's where they catch the people that are on the self-exclusion program that have said, I have no control over my actions. There's no regulation of the self-exclusion program at these neighborhood slot machines. So there's nobody stopping them like there will be, like there is at the casino, although they don't even stop them there until they win something, but then they catch them because they have to show ID. The other thing is everything is on camera at a casino. Is there a camera on every machine that would be in a bar?
Be okay with me.
It would be okay with me.
But I don't think it'll happen. There's turnstiles, at the casino. There's a lot of protections there that you don't have at your neighborhood bars.
You had a question in the front. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm Roy Joyce, Forest Park resident. I just had a few comments from I'm sorry, as well as the gentleman from the video gambling. Is in regards to, she brought up Mr. Hostey's ownership/management of Healy's and what if he would be allowed to vote. And I voiced some concerns about this with Mayor Calderon. I had planned to attend the second village-run video gambling meeting, but unfortunately it was canceled and I had a much more cogent presentation. However, according to Mayor Calderon, it's his determination that commissioner is indirectly financially interested, and if the subject of video is placed on an agenda, that Mayor Calderon would instruct the village clerk who calls roll to pass on Commissioner Hostey. That's what Mayor Calderon expressed to me. Additionally, my larger concern is the crime that will come. And a gentleman from the video gambling agency said he hasn't heard any problems. For the record, this is something I shared with Mayor Calderon, as well as Mr. Gillian back in October, and it's a study that shows the Video Gaming Act, gambling with Illinois future, legal gambling establishments, and stuff like that. From what I understand, I mean, you come to these events, and I think I would like to share this with you, so perhaps you have a better perspective on. I know yourself, the bar owners, you guys are here to make money, and I just want you to know our perspective and why many of us may be against it. Some of the crime statistics, not just larcenies increases, not just burglaries, talking rapes and murders. I have many copies, as does the mayor. I would really appreciate it if you want to look at that. I'll put it on the table next one. Maybe I could just give that to you, and whoever would like to, I have copies. I may have more comments as before. As someone who over the last 4 years has had my condominium building just off of Madison in Des Plaines broken into, as well as last week, two shots were fired down the street from me. This isn't Winfield. This is directly next to the city with the most murders in the world. And this would be one of the closest places.
The most murders in the world?
I'm sorry, Chicago, next to, who along with Oak Park and Maywood have the sensitive decline. And we also have Maywood, who does not allow video gambling. Those are some concerns that I have. Large increases in crime shown on that, and I just think for the 5% that goes to the village, how will that be offset with these increases in crimes? Have the police been brought into this at all, as they perhaps were not in Winfield? I think that these are questions that need to be answered, and I guess I just wanted to share what I had about what Mayor Calderon expressed to me about Mr. Hostey's vote.
Thank you on that. And actually, maybe that was going to be a component of policing efforts in the second meeting. If there is a second meeting, maybe you guys, I'm talking to commissioners, could,
A little louder.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe you could recommend that, Chief Ryan weigh in on this. I mean, because I haven't heard anything, and I don't know if anybody else has.
That wasn't a village meeting, that was a mayor's meeting, by the way.
No, I'm
He
just
had no
saying he
input
may
at all.
have planned that. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that perhaps that wasn't the second one. I don't know.
He did express to me that the reason he delayed, and is still delaying, was because there was not enough citizen input at the first one. And he wanted to have enough time for the citizens to be alerted and come and express their views. That's what he told me.
Maybe you'll put that as a teaser in the playbook. Okay.
I did. Can I just comment on that for a minute? When the meeting was canceled, that second meeting was canceled, I called the village. Because like you, I was planning to go to the second meeting. And they did assure me that it was going to be rescheduled. They didn't give me a day or anything, but they did assure that it was going to be rescheduled.
Well, I hope it is.
I hope it is too.
Okay, sir, in the blue sweatshirt.
I don't know how many people know that we already have video ordinance, gaming ordinance. They were passed in 1985, I believe it was. All these bars already have video games. And they're only allowed in bars. They're not allowed in grocery stores, they're not allowed in any of these other places. So I think if they were looking at the video ordinances, they would go with the gaming ordinances that they already have. And you can check in the village, they have, for every game, back in those days, the owner of the establishment had to pay a $200 licensing fee for that particular machine. Once a month, we would go in and check every one of these bars to make sure that the license was there, it was the same game, and there was no illegal games in the bar. I don't know what they do now, but back then, that's what we used to do. But that's something you can check with the village and see about the gaming ordinances they already have on file.
But Joe, was that a gambling or just a?
Gaming.
That was just a game? You
Video
just
game.
played a game?
Yeah, video game, yeah.
But it wasn't gambling to win
No,
money?
but I would say that if you were going to look at that ordinance, we'd probably look at an ordinance
Right.
for the video gaming just about the same way.
I'd like to respond to that. Those are what, when Mr. Latner mentioned gray games.
No.
That,
No.
you're not talking about the
Coin
gray games?
operated, jukebox, pinball, pool
They
table.
have pool games, they have Pac-Man, they have golf, Golden Tee golf, they have all those games.
They're just video games. They don't have anything to do with gambling.
But
To
the
describe
ordinances are there,
what-
it says that they can only be in liquor establishments.
Right.
So.
And if I might add, the gaming board, in its due diligence, has looked around to other communities such as Iowa and saw what the mistakes Iowa made. Iowa did have video poker machines in place, but you're right, it got so out of control that they had to repeal it, and it cost people a lot of money, like myself, who got into that business, because they repealed it because they got goofy. They weren't sensible, they weren't putting them in places like laundromats and in places where they don't belong. And so the Illinois Gaming Board has really done its due diligence and said, we're limiting this to bars and restaurants and places that sell liquor. And I'm sure, and no matter what business we get into, there's always gonna be the smart guy who's gonna outthink somebody and try to sneak it into an end round, AKA call it these deli models. But, you know, that's just gonna happen, it's the nature of the beast. But I think the gaming board has limited it to specifically bars and restaurants, and it's gonna be super conservative in allowing places to have it. I mean, they come in and do a site inspection on every location to determine whether they can have it or not.
Even if they have a video game?
A coin-op machine, yes. Before you receive a license, the gaming board sends in state troopers to every location. They go through every closet, basement, crawl space, behind the bar. They check to see if you have anything illegally in there. And then they ask you, where do you want your machines and where do you think they would be, you know, they would go. And if you say, I would like them over here, well, they have a predetermined checklist of whether that is going to be doable or not. It has to be within view of an employee of the bar. It can't be behind some closed doors. And it has to be accessible. It can't be by the front door. But it has to be that someone can view and watch the play action on those machines by an employee. So they come in and do their due diligence. It's not a simple process for the host location to get their license.
Okay.
Ms. Kathy, to her response before we hang up.
Well, actually, I have a response to that too. That's the legislature that passed the bill that said they had to be in a liquor for an establishment. The gaming board didn't decide that.
But they enforce it.
Well, they, as much as they can. But they have enough employees for 10 casinos. They've added some new employees, but not nearly enough to monitor the whole state. I mean, when you go from 10 locations to thousands of locations, you'd think they'd have to ramp up like thousands of employees, you know, but
that's why the process is successful.
well, that's part of it. I mean, and the 3-year delay was because of the lawsuit. Actually, the gaming board has said at the last meeting that there's only about 1/3 of the machines or the locations that they have licensed that have actually opened up with their machines, because it's the locations that are behind on their paperwork and producing their financials and coming up with what they're supposed to do for the gaming board.
I know portable mic.
I believe it was.
Me?
Yes.
I have a question. You have a bar with a few hundred people in it, you have 5 machines. Who's gonna decide who gets to play that machine? By the biggest person? By lottery?
I honestly don't know.
I can see that being a bit of a problem.
I've seen in jurisdictions when I was out in Oregon and saw what they had, there was a sign-up board, believe it or not.
Kind of like quarters on a table for pool.
I guess, yeah.
Gentlemen in the back again.
You know, been in the bar business, you know, I watch my customers when they, with alcohol, and you try and keep everybody from abusing alcohol, etc. You know, you might think that we're all very greedy, but we're not. I want to run a nice business. I want to provide some entertainment. I would monitor my customers. I wouldn't let a guy sit there and lose his paycheck. You know, I would talk to him, put aside. I'm just saying that we would try. I'm not saying that, you know, we're angels, but we're not culprits. We're not the bad guys that, the bad people that I heard somebody refer to. We're just businessmen who are trying to provide entertainment, and we're trying to make some money too. But we're not trying to rip people off and see them go to the poorhouse. You know, I have customers that, you know, I help them, you know, when I can. You know, sometimes they can't pay the rent. We don't have gambling, you know, but we still help one another. It's a small bar. It's a neighborhood place, not a casino. But I just want to make that point that, you know, I personally, in our establishment, wouldn't want to see anybody lose their paycheck. I don't want to see a guy come and lose everything and then you never see him again. I want repeat business. I want it to be an entertainment device and like to make some money. And I think too with the Bar Owners Association, we've tried before to have golf outings, etc., and to give back to the community, to have to help with the food pantry and the library, etc. The golf outing was successful for maybe 3 or 4 years, and then it petered out. You know, I think we do the same thing. We're not bad people. Thank you.
Okay, I see, you would be next.
I was just curious when you said that the lawsuit was against the gaming. The lawsuit wasn't worse than the lawsuit against gaming.
No.
Because there was a bill attached with the
Right.
tax issues, because we're
But that
bartenders,
held up.
we're bar owners, we know because they tried to raise, actually, so it wasn't against, it wasn't a lawsuit against the video game, I just want to make that clear.
Then I believe it was you, right? Yeah.
I just have a question. I mean, has there been any studies done on that? You know, the offsets of what's lost, what's gained, you know, just sort of, you know, the economics of people leaving Forest Park to gamble elsewhere because we don't offer it here.
I don't know of any studies like that, but you might be interested that it seems like the park districts routinely bus people to other states to gamble. I've always wondered, why are they going to Michigan and Wisconsin and, you know, Indiana when they could bus to a casino in Illinois?
Does anybody know there's a community center? Do they offer junkets to the casinos?
The park district's got one going on. I saw the signs.
Park districts, nursing homes often do that.
Let's bus them to Forest Park. I don't have an answer for that. I couldn't even begin to tell you what it was. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Well,
Pretty
you're
hard to get
talking
them.
about
There's only one
lost tax
liquor
revenue.
license, and it's 1,912.
Tony, please.
You're talking about sales tax. To get $1,000 into the village treasury from video gambling, there has to be $250,000 bet. Okay. If that $250,000 were spent on restaurant, food, the village would not receive $1,000, they would receive $2,500 in sales tax. Plus, I don't know if you have a local option tax on top of the 1% you get from the state. But essentially, the sales tax, just the statutory sales tax would be $2,500 from food and other things if spent in Forest Park versus $1,000 if they spent the same amount of money on the video game.
So when you're saying $250,000 is spent on the gambling,
Yes.
how much of that is going back to the gambler and how much of that is staying in the bar?
Well, you spend $250,000, basically 1/12 of that is the vigorish.
Okay.
Okay? And 1/20 of that goes to the village. Okay? So that's the split. Now, the state gets a quarter, the bar gets 35%, you know, I haven't figured out the fractions, but
So the bar and the state and the operator are keeping about $20,000 of the $250,000 gambled?
yeah, they,
Because of the winnings.
right.
See,
Right. Well, here's the thing. The machines typically, I think, you're correct, are set to pay out around 92.5%. It's going to vary by operator and such, but that's about it. So that says 1/12 of what goes in, you know, stays behind, and that's the pie that gets split up.
So 1/12 is lost by the gambler.
1/12, exactly.
11/12 goes back to the gambler or another gambler who wins.
Exactly, and that 12th that is then set aside as the gross profits, the village gets 1/20 of that.
Okay.
Okay, which, you know, 5% is 1/20.
if you guys want, you can go to the Illinois Gaming Board website, and they have numbers out for November and October, and I think December just came out. And it lists every bar and how much money they've made.
Wow.
The bar?
The bar, you can go look, and if you go to Berwyn or Brookfield, you can look at Irish Times, and it will tell you the gross money in, the money paid out to the patrons, and the net revenue to the state.
Tim, you had just a clarification, I guess for me and nobody else, so that you're splitting with the bar then. The bar gets the cash and then he has the arrangement with you?
The way it works is, let's say you have one machine, and you put $500 into that machine and play. 400 of it is paid back out to you in winnings. So there's $100 profit in that machine at the end of the day. Out of that $100, 30%, 25 and 5, go to the state and the city respectively. The balance is split between myself and the host location, which is roughly about 35 and 35. That's it. I mean,
80% is paid out?
well, I threw that number out there. I'm just trying to give you a net revenue.
Minimum, that's the law, minimum 80%.
Minimum.
No, well, I'm just telling you the payout. I used $500 going in and 400 being back as just saying there's $100 profit in there. Their percentages could be, depending on the game, could be different. It could be less and it could be more. I mean, I have some locations that are horrible. They're not paying out it. I'm not getting anything out of it. The customer's taking all the money. They're negative. I mean, it's just the way the cycle of the game is played. I mean, but you can go look at every location you want and see the numbers.
The money doesn't stay with the bar. The money is in the operator's account. And then the state sweeps from the operator's account.
Correct.
For their portion.
And I have to pay the host location out of that account as well.
All right, more
And
questions?
the state pays the village?
Yes.
Correct.
Are they,
Marty, you had something to contribute directly to this?
yeah, I guess you brought up some machines go negative. I guess I just want to know if everyone, including yourself, as well as bar owners, know that Cook County Commissioner Preckwinkle put in a $200 tax per machine in next year's budget. Is anyone aware of that?
Yeah.
I am. They're gonna pay it.
We'll talk about the
Would
real
that come
folks, there it
from
is right there.
the operator?
It's split between the operator and the host location.
Okay. Now, the host location splitting that money, from what this gentleman just said, if $100 was spent in that bar on food or drink, the town and the bar would get more than if it was spent in the gambling machine.
That's what the numbers put out to be, then yeah, I guess
So that's just, sort of, I mean, from what he said.
But how do we know that people aren't drinking
Yeah.
and eating while they're doing it?
Well, if they have a fixed budget, right, they go to the place with $100, they say I'm gonna pay $10 for the machine. Isn't that how you think of it? I got a fixed budget to go out, and then some fraction gets paid. Do you add on?
I've been to Vegas and I have to eat when I'm there, so that's all I can tell you. I do eat when I go there.
Well, I guess, a lot of it is talking about the residents, the country residents of the village. And I do think that we need more information on, other than just anecdotal, about whether there is increased crime or it has a detrimental effect on the community itself. Because I do think that there's a potential, and I don't know if any of you guys commented this, that establishments like Gaetano's or some of the nicer restaurants where you're not going to see, obviously they have liquor license, but you're not going to see video gaming. Are they going to be enticed to sell, okay, you're not going to allow this parlor or coffee shop gambling, but are they going to be enticed to sell their establishment and move someplace else where they don't allow video gambling and having a nicer restaurant replaced by a gambling place that sells food? And then the other part too, so that I think is something that has to be looked into. But I know and I think this is the current law, is that as a non-home rule community, we can only establish a fee of $25 per game. Maybe it was $200 for the.
It's $200 now, Marty.
Well, the village, I think the state limits non-home rule communities to a $25 fee.
You're right, people are getting around that by actually taxing the bar. It's
Well,
stupid, but
I-
they're doing that, so it's a license for the bar.
Like Tim says, we cannot, as a non-home rule community, we can only collect $25 per game, per machine, plus our bid.
Excuse me.
Do you see this, do you see other non-home rule communities embracing video gaming, or is this something you can only see in home rule
No,
communities
not-
that can increase the fees?
I talked to, I think, Villa Park is opted in, and they're a non-home, and they can only charge 25 per machine. I made, just today, I was calling around to the different municipalities throughout the state to find out what their state local liquor, the local amusement tax was gonna be on each machine, just so I could be compliant and get that money to them to get it paid. And a lot of them were like that, 25, and then you got places like Berlin who's charging 1,000. City of Chicago's talking about 2,000. I mean, it doesn't.
But in some ways, that might explain why Berwyn would have it and we would not, because we cannot increase the fee beyond $25.
But Berlin is a non-home rule.
No, they're,
Yeah, I think they are.
They can't do it if they're not home.
But they're taxing the bar, not the
If they're home
machines, that's
rule,
how
they
they're
can
getting
pass
around
anything they
it.
want.
Really?
Honestly, yeah.
So your liquor license will go up from 1,800 to whatever.
Marty, I've owned a bar for 9 years while you were commissioner, and you charged me $200 for my cigarette machine, $200 for my jukebox, $200 for my dartboard. So
Yes.
if you didn't know that, then you weren't doing your job.
No, I knew that.
He's being pro
Okay.
machines,
But
he's right, though.
if you know the state law that's passed on
Well,
video
you
gaming.
should know the state law, which is when you were
state law
commissioner.
that's
Yeah,
video
so hold on a
gaming,
second.
You should
First
know
of
it.
all,
$25.
Marty's position was public property. Okay, so and secondarily, you know.
So he
We're not
wasn't
talking
following
about
people.
cigarette machines, we're talking about gambling machines. And that's limited to $25 by municipalities that do not have home rules.
Thank you for clarifying. Does that answer your question then?
I didn't hear it.
He just said the law refers specifically to gambling machines.
Okay, you didn't say that the first time.
Well, I don't-
It's okay.
He called the name.
Anyway, that's the way it is. Okay, I did see your hand sooner, Marty, I'll get to you. And then Jerry,
No, I'm just standing.
you? Okay, that's fine, please.
I want to just comment on Mr. Delaling's comment about the quality of Madison Street establishments. And, you know, Forest Park has worked very hard in the last 20, 25 years to upgrade the quality of, well, Madison Street entirely. And it seems to me that adding gambling to Madison Street is not going to elevate it to the degree that it has been elevated in the last 20 years. In fact, I think there's a possibility that if we don't have gambling in Forest Park, we could become the place where people go for great entertainment, for more upscale entertainment, for a bar crowd that isn't gambling, and for restaurants that, well, we have great restaurants on Madison Street now. Why not preserve our image of being a destination place for people from the surrounding communities? And I think gambling, bar gambling, video gambling is not a way to enhance our image in the communities around. I understand that bars may lose some money initially, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it will be long-term. I mean, no one knows that for sure, because if we have, if Forest Park has the reputation for being the place where people go for fine dining and a bar crowd that isn't the gambling crowd, then we can sort of advertise that image and promote that image of our village.
You know,
I personally am not opposed to gambling, so it's not a moral issue for me that people shouldn't gamble. I just don't want video gambling in Forest Park. I don't think it's a way to enhance the image of the community.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of apex off of that. Tim, you had mentioned that, you know, the role of the liquor commissioner would have the final say. Are you, I know this is all pretty new yet, it's only been online for a short time, but are any communities saying, you know, it's fine on this street, it's fine on that street, it's fine on that street, but we don't want it on this street?
I don't know if that can be done.
You can't.
It cannot be done?
No. They can't even specify that we just want our American Legion to have it, and nobody else. They can't do that.
Okay.
Typically, what a community will do is they issue a certain number of liquor licenses of a particular class. And if that licensee ceases business, that license could just be laying out there and under the liquor commissioner's control where an applicant could almost claim it. So normally what communities do is if a liquor license is turned in, they amend their authorizing ordinance and lower the number of authorized licenses. And thus there's no license that could essentially just be claimed or that the liquor commissioner can give to a buddy. Instead, then if somebody comes in and wants a liquor license, then it becomes a question for the commission as to whether they want to, the question on the table is, do you want to increase the number of licenses from 17 to 18? And the real question will be, do we want this guy to have a liquor license? And that's the way that typically they would control it, as to, if the guy's going to open in that part of town, we're not going to increase the number of licenses available.
Coincidentally, that's something that's roiling in our community now, the last 45 days or so in this situation about these. Okay, Marty, you had a question.
Hi, my name is Marty Cerise, and I do own a bar. I would like first off to thank Ms. Daly and the Botmans. They did a really, really great job getting this together, and we should really applaud them. And I would like to thank the panelists, but my thing is, in listening to you talk, you're right, it does seem like, you know, gambling seems to be so bleak, and fine lady up there from Villa Park, like, a lot of what you guys are saying seem to be true. And then I look at basically the towns that have riverboat casinos, and I mean, I don't know if anybody follows the newspaper, but they're calling it the Aurora Miracle. For the first time in history of the state of Illinois, a town with over 200,000 people and 0 murders. I don't know, and I mean, you look at the crime statistics in the cities that have riverboats, they seem to actually be going down and not up, number one. Number two, the populations are exploding in these towns. So it seems it's almost counterintuitive to what you guys are saying, and the median income is also exploding in this town. Think about that. A town of 200,000 people had 0 murders. Prior to the boat going there, I mean, Aurora was like the armpit of the state of Illinois. Oak Park can't say they haven't had any murders. When's the last time Oak Park went a whole year without a murder? I don't know, and I mean, listening to what you're saying, I mean, there is an argument that gambling is a tax on, you know, uneducated poor people, and there is a lot of truth to that. You are right, okay? However, there is good with the bad, and I mean, what really reality is that you're not preventing gambling in town. One of the bar owners, and I just hate this so much, he got so frustrated, he put lotto machines in his bar, which isn't regulated, so he's selling lottery tickets. I mean, what kind of a crowd does that bring in? I mean, people are going to do what they can to survive, but it really seems like when you look at what's going on with the riverboats and look at what's happening, look at the demographic progression in those communities, it really looks like it's not really hurting them. As a matter of fact, it really looks like it's helping them.
I'd like to respond. Well, first of all, you're mentioning murder, you're mentioning violent crimes. The types of crimes associated with gambling are typically white-collar type crimes, embezzlements, forgeries, you know, that kind of thing. In fact, that house that exploded, actually, it seems like there was 38 houses that were involved in Indianapolis. That was somebody that had, actually it was a couple that each had problems financially. Somebody had, one of them had lost $10,000 gambling. So that didn't happen at the casino. In fact, I think they even lost the money in another state. But they come back and they try to do an insurance fraud. You know, and that's the kind of thing that, and a lot of that doesn't even show up in crime reports because they're embezzling from their employer for 10 years before anybody catches it. How about that lady in Dixon? How long did it take to catch her? You know, She wasn't
How about
even
We
this?
should borrow horses for her, but whatever. Because that's what she was
So,
doing.
and when you say like Aurora seems to be doing well, Aurora has been collecting money from all the gamblers in that 30-mile radius or whatever it is between them and the next casino out there, or maybe even the next state. You know, so that's drawing in the money into Aurora. But what's happening in those other outlying areas
That's what we're trying to do.
where they're losing money? I mean, as far as the community looking good, because they're getting money from the casino, so they're gonna improve their streets and their police department, you know, and all that kind of thing. So it looks good, but the losses are in that whole market that they're drawing from.
So like us, we would lose like the Brookfield and Berwyn and North Riverside that have machines, so we would start to lose money. And our businesses would lose money because people are going over there. I mean, don't be fooled. Business, and these bar owners can tell you, it's horrendous the last 6 or 7 months. I mean, I just bought my building and I put my life savings, I have 3 kids, and it's getting serious now about losing closed door and, you know, foreclosures and stuff, because I just look at it as another, some people to do inside the bar. Because the Blackhawks were on strike and all the other things. The street is like, there's no one out at night and stuff. It's absolutely, I mean, you don't live here, so you don't know, you don't have a business, so you have nothing vested in this. Someone like myself and other people do, this is our livelihoods. And it's concerning now. I've owned the bar for 9 years, I've never seen it this bad in like the last 2 years.
Beth, I think you answered your own question. People, if they want to go out to gamble, they're going to go to a casino.
I gamble out there, I don't go to a casino. I go to the racetrack or
Well,
I go to Las Vegas or
someplace
something.
where that's the primary business.
Well,
You
this
know,
could
I
be
mean,
part of our primary business.
We go 100 yards over Berwyn.
Yes.
We just watched level playing field, that's all.
Levels, exactly.
There's 5 machines at maximum in a place. So if there's going to be lines for the machines, you know, what's somebody
They'll have a beer and
what's
wait.
somebody going to do? Just sit there and wait for
What
it?
do they do in Las Vegas?
They do
The
that.
machines,
They go to
they
the-
wait, you
go
wait
to
until it's your turn to go on the machine, that's it. Or if you go to the racetrack, you wait in line.
Yeah.
Please, let's hear.
Yeah, so I have I don't know if it's necessarily a question or really more a comment. I mean, I love to gamble. You know, and I just got back from Maryland. There's a casino right by the airport. I stopped in there and, you know, lost $10 in 2 minutes. It was great. But I was willing to do that, you know. I think, and with all due respect to the bar owners, because a lot of, you know, I've played on softball teams that you guys sponsor. Appreciate it. You know, I think when I first saw this issue that it might potentially be in Forest Park, I wasn't sure which way to go on it. And, but I gotta tell you, Mark Hosty convinced me. And I think it's unfortunate that if you're a bar owner and you're in alignment with Mark Hosty, I think that's unfortunate because I think that his lying or being unethical is hurting the rest of the bar owners with this issue.
Please don't blame Mark on us. Please don't blame Mark on us.
So, no, I'm just saying, from a citizen who is looking, you know, at it, you hear some of the things that comes out of that guy's mouth, and when Napoleon or Calderon takes the leash off, and it's embarrassing to you guys as bar owners.
I saw another question. I thought I did.
I have one. What determines how many machines a bar has? I know the legal limit is 5, but do they have any other requirements? They have to have so many square footage in order to have more than one machine, or is it just between you and the bar, what you think will be
The way I
economical?
look at it, it costs me roughly $25,000 per machine to put into a location. I'm not gonna put a machine into a location unless I think it warrants it. I have very few locations that have 5 machines, most are about 2 to 3 average. And, you know, they seem to do fine. It's a very, very expensive proposition for me to do that. And as a business owner, I can't make that, I'm not gonna do it. I just can't. I can't afford to just throw 5 machines out there.
It costs you that money to put it in and not the bar owner?
Cost me, I gotta pay for it. It's all on
You
me.
get to decide how much you'll sell to the bar owner,
Well,
how many machines.
they can have up to 5, which is the
Right.
state law. But there are very few locations that warrant 5 machines.
I have a
You
good
make
example.
that decision, or you have the power.
Oh,
It's your
I-
business.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Tim, a follow-up question to that. I feel like we heard somewhere that there's also a cost to the bar to buy the machine.
No,
No.
I buy the
No.
machine. It's
It's
on
all,
me.
it's all, okay, thank you.
Any other, yes?
But just, I heard you guys mention that it's $25 per machine in Forest Park. Do you have to pay another licensing fee every year per machine to the state? Or does the state just get their percentage?
No, it cost me $5,000 a year just for my license.
And that gives you unlimited number of machines?
Correct. And then the state, you got your county tax that she's gonna throw on it. And then you have, the local sticker tax, which is fine.
Right.
Depending on where you live in the municipality, it ranges. I mean, some are really gonna go after it and be very aggressive on the pricing of those stickers. And you gotta make, as a businessman, I gotta see if it's gonna be viable to have that machine in there. Because I need a return on my investment. I have people that I have to report to that says, why would you put 5 machines in the location when no one's playing it? It's a business decision, and I gotta be very careful of that. I don't see very many places in Forest Park that anything more than 2 or 3. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
And Illinois is taxing at 25% now. South Dakota taxes at 50%. So what happens if Illinois decides to do like South Dakota and tax you double?
Well, I would think it's gonna kill me. Because I'm the one that, the bar owner and that's gonna come out of our pocket. But that's a business decision that I'm willing to make to see what happens. I mean, it's all about personal
They
choice.
probably will.
Martin?
Yeah, just, Tim, I know you talked about you spend $25,000, you own the machines. That's not just your business model, that's how it's regulated, is that not so?
Well,
The bar owner can't go out and say, hey, I want to buy
No,
this.
they cannot.
He
They
has
gotta
to
go
work
through.
with a licensed person like yourself.
Correct.
Okay, yes, sir.
These guys people extend their hours if they get these machines in?
No.
Say someone got 3 o'clock license, I'm gonna go to full max now with long cut machines there,
We can write them.
I think the hours are pretty well established.
Based on the liquor license.
Oh,
Based on the liquor license.
yeah, it's what, 2 o'clock and then 3 o'clock on Fridays and yes.
Right, that's exactly what you're saying.
Okay,
You're right.
some sort of day of the year. So that's apparently not gonna change.
And the central communication system can shut them off. So if they decide they want to leave their doors open a little bit later, for somebody that's sitting there, the machine will go off.
It's programmed. The machine will go off. If your liquor license says you can operate from 10 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock at night, based on the ordinance, that is programmed into the central system, and she's correct, and that machine will go off at 2 o'clock. If you're playing a game, it kicks out a ticket and says, good night.
I don't think I'd like that if I was gonna.
If you're on the heater, sorry. It doesn't even give you a last call. It's game over. Here's your ticket. See ya.
Okay, Arlene, I will take your question, but you'll be the last. Our lease is up at 9 o'clock. So I'm thrilled that enough dialogue took place. I think everybody did a great job. People asking questions and undoubtedly our panel, excellent job. I think all of you understood the and we got to see all different sides, so I'm grateful for that. We'll take your last question.
I just wanted to point out a couple things. You had mentioned that the white collar crime associated with it. I just kind of wanted to mention that the Illinois scientific study, it was burglaries, larcenies, assaults, rapes, and murders. I've given it to Mayor Calderon. I hope it is something that is looked at. And I guess just another question for yourself. You are, if it goes through, you're contracted with which bars?
I have several that I'm trying to get to do business with me right now.
Okay, is there anything set, or?
I have potential letters of intent that they would work with me if they're approved.
Is Healy's one of those?
Yes, it is.
Is based on something I said earlier about Mayor Calderon not, about Mayor Calderon not calling on Mr. Hosty. I'm just wondering if you've heard anything different than that, or if you've had contacts with Commissioner Hosty as both a business person as well as a commissioner of this town.
I've met with Mark to discuss an opportunity to get his business.
So business, not, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we should venture off into any proprietary discussions here. All right, that's certainly it. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank all of you for coming.